So last night was a shit show. Complete shit show.
But it was fun.
I enjoyed it. I feel like it felt like our regular podcast recording. For those of you guys who are just joining us, I did a live last night in my regular coaching group. We can call it my coaching group. The podcast co-hosts, they joined us for 40 minutes. It was supposed to be an hour. We only got 40 minutes of talking in because I couldn't figure out my computer. My computer was dying. It took forever to boot up. It took like a full, I think, 10, 15 minutes to boot up because, it's a 14-year-old computer.
Yeah.
So anyway, so last night on my live, we talked about going to conferences and what we get out of it. Sometimes it's a little bit about the education part, but a large part of why we go to conferences now is because of the networking and the people we get to meet. Sometimes that's where the value is in these conferences. These relationships you get to make with other folks who might be a little further along in their career than you, or whatever it is. I never believe there's anything wrong with just meeting people. There's nothing inherently wrong with just meeting others. There's so much you can learn from others. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Actually, today's guest is somebody we met at a conference. I think we met him in...
Imaging, Tennessee.
Imaging in Nashville. Yeah.
Yep.
Was
last year?
Yep. That was last year.
Oh, that's
our first
right.
year in Imaging. Yep.
I thought it was
same year?
WPPI. I said I thought they made grilled cheeses at WPPI, or was that
they did.
Nashville?
They did. That was the second time we met with them.
Yep, that was the second time. Yep.
Yeah, believe it or not, we were a little starstruck when I saw the both of them together. Explosion. My brain exploded, and then I basically kidnapped them from that day forth. Anytime I saw them, and that's probably the reason why they run the opposite direction when they see me coming around the corner. They just start running the opposite direction.
They've been in your chokehold ever since.
You can't escape my love. Sort of like Enrique Iglesias, right? You can't escape my love. Put a little mole over here, right? Does he still have that mole? I don't know. Does he still have that mole? I think he removed the mole, right?
I don't even know where he's at.
Yeah, where is he?
But yesterday's live was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing the live. It seemed very natural, and I think after a year of podcasting, I think we finally have our flow, and it seemed very easy to me. So, and we don't have to edit it either.
I was gonna say, we get you for 3 days in a row. Yesterday, today, tomorrow.
Damn.
Oh, my class. I have a class tomorrow. Yeah, I'm doing a dim sum meetup.
How I feel, right?
She gets me every single day of the week. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Holla! Dim sum. I don't know why I decided on dim sum. It was either that or pupusas, so we went with dim sum. I don't know. I was just in the mood for dim sum. It just occurred to me that I wanted dim sum. So we're doing a dim sum meetup about a month or 2 months ago. Better Together, the group that we have here in New Jersey. It's a group of photographers and videographers. I think it's just mostly photo and video, right? Are there florists and there are?
No. It's supposed to be
video,
just photo, video. Yeah, a couple of non vendors that are. I mean, people that are not photo and video have snuck in there, but they're not supposed to be in there.
I don't think I ever seen Rolando with hat.
What? I've always worn a hat. Well, it's been a while.
Not since your hair has been so immaculate,
You have a helmet hair.
You know what would be funny? He takes off that hat and he's bald the whole time. His hair is just like a helmet that he takes off and he puts on. Like a Lego, how Lego, you put hair on Legos.
Lego hair.
I should do that with the filter. And really, let me give you the secret to a nice hair day, and just take it off, and I'm bald.
And it's a wig, it's like Esteban Gil. He wears a wig. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, luxurious wig.
We're gonna put this out too, Dirty. Don't edit this out. Esteban Gil wears a wig. He has a lovely wig. He has a lovely wig collection. He has a lovely wig collection that's it's a secret. It's a secret collection that he doesn't like to share with others. It's an immaculate wig collection. So anyway, Better Together, they had a little get together about a month or 2 months ago, and we thought it was amazing. There's a little bit of a educational component to it, and then was a meal. We broke bread together, and what better way to network than to break bread with your fellow colleagues? And then there was more networking, and then we sold stuff. According to you, we had Gary Fang selling caskets and gaffer tape and Post-it notes.
He was selling chairs, dining tables.
He was selling timeshares. He was selling insurance.
Water filters, knives.
He was selling all of the above, right? But I thought this was such an amazing experience, and I love seeing that in our community. So, and I know Better Together, they had their hands full. They can only plan so many events.
When I joined Better Together, that was like a monthly to bi-monthly thing.
Yeah, so I'm going to do my part and continue on with that. Just keep the ball rolling with that. We're going to do something similar. So I'm going to be teaching a class tomorrow on sales and marketing. Basically, it's how at WPPI I had 15 minutes to give a presentation. I wish I had more time, but in any case, this will be the third time I've given this presentation. The first time I gave it, it was about an hour long, but it was all over the place. So this will be the third time I'll be doing this, and I think it'll be a nice and tight 1 hour. So it'll be good. I liked my slides from WPPI. I liked my slides. I thought they were funny.
How many people can fit in the coffee shop?
Well, I have tables and chairs, so it'll be set up very similar to the Focus AM Summit.
Okay,
but
I'm definitely buying some coffee beans before I leave that place.
Yeah, please do. Support small businesses. They gave Plainfield a chance. I know that a lot of folks, when they hear Plainfield, they run the other direction. But they gave Plainfield a chance. These guys they live here, they work here. It's a mom and pop coffee shop. We want to support them. So they're really appreciative that we're doing a class there. So they're giving us a lot of attention. So there used to be an accounting office next door, and they bought that accounting office space out, or either they rented it out. I don't know what they're doing, but so they do events there, like book readings and stuff. Typical coffee shop type of stuff. Little performances, hippie type of stuff, right?
That's cool.
You guys ready to get this podcast started?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm focused.
All right, guys, welcome to the Focus AM podcast. My name is Ben.
I'm Karis.
This is Jen.
And this is Ro.
And we are semi-focused today.
Focused.
I'm focused.
Yeah.
I'm focused. See the hat? I'm focused.
Today's the day with the new hat, so it's very important.
Yeah, my computers are not focused AF. I still have to wait for some more retainers to come in. The way my checking account is set up, I have to watch my purchases and stuff. I can't just be throwing money around. I wasted all my money on gumbo and escape rooms out in Vegas last week. You know what I mean? I don't have any money to spend on frivolous things like my work computers. You know what I mean?
Also, a quick shout out to our 2 extra escape room buddies that we've invited.
That we picked up
to our last one, yeah.
That we kidnapped.
Yeah.
So the one of them is Mr. Christopher Stiles of the Lens and Light Summit up in Connecticut. That was one. Who's the other one?
Leo is the second. He's joining us for the second time.
Yep.
But it was the first one in Vegas for him with us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he actually had the first good one because the last ones we did in Kentucky were
was okay.
terrible.
It was okay. It was all right.
Yeah.
This one
the one
was
where we were
really
handcuffed.
good.
The one that we were handcuffed and blindfolded and in a dark room.
Yeah.
Where we wasted 15 minutes looking for a stupid key.
Yeah. And then the classroom one, which was just as
Yeah.
bad.
Kind of lame
so.
too. Yeah.
Mhm.
This one, what was the theme?
This company is the best.
The heist.
Heist.
The heist.
Oh, we were in a museum and we needed to find a treasure map.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Or was it a painting? I forgot.
No, it was a painting. The painting.
Painting.
Right. I thought that this one was really well done. This puzzle. See, I hate it when I go into an escape room. It's just a bunch of number locks, one number lock after another. I like having hidden messages in the walls. Or hidden messages in the photos. Anything that where you have to place physical items, certain places like books or cups or whatever it is.
We get it. We get it. We get it. Okay?
Wine bottles.
So when we had to put the hand in the door and try and see where the button was.
That was very
Yeah.
funny. We had to. We had a newcomer who had never done an escape room before, Mr. Christopher Stiles. I will let him know that he's making a cameo here. And then Leo. All right, so we had these 2 guys who were kind of newcomers to this world of escape rooms when they were in charge of opening up the first door. And It was a complete mess. It was because we had one guy sticking his hand with a mirror through this hole, and his arms are so big you can barely see through the hole. And then you had this other newcomer with his stick, and he's just waving that stick around on the other side of the door, just breaking everything on the other side of that door. I thought it was the funniest thing. And he's hitting all the buttons that he's not supposed to be hitting.
Because Leo was directing him to the
clue button.
The clue button.
Emergency exit button. Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, "What are you doing, man?" And he's like, "Oh." And I think Leo was, I think he was thinking a little bit too deep into some of these solutions and stuff. Yep. He made it a lot more complicated. He's like, "Oh, there's a keypad here, but it's upside down, and there's a Scrabble board here, and then, but then maybe the how we open a thing is with this mirror." And the solution was not that complicated. It was much simpler than that.
You know what also happened? There was a moment where most of us thought that keypad was already used.
Oh yeah,
and it wasn't. So that delayed us another 5-10 minutes to figure that out.
But we got out in time. It was a great experience. It was a positive experience. So we have our crew, our escape room crew. And I think this is the same crew that goes to every conference together. Anyway.
Yeah. So shout out to the Escape Game, best company so far.
Oh yeah, best company so far.
Top notch.
No, we have a few that we haven't done, and they have one in the city.
But it needs to be 8 or above. I don't. I'm not sure if I'm still traumatized from the last level 10 that we did, because I felt like that was unfair. That was unfair.
Yeah. I think it was also the company, though. The company was...
I personally think we should do all of them from whatever they offer.
Even if it's 6. Like last time we did a 6, it was so dumb.
Easy.
Which one was that one?
That was the one where you go in, it was like a cabin in the woods.
Oh, that one was cool though.
Animals were there.
We had animals on the head in the main cabin.
I got all these escape rooms mixed up now. Yep. I don't know which. Yeah.
That's the one where I had the BB gun and Moses just
yes.
He was like, "You know what you're doing? Move over.
Give it to me."
Some of us take the escape rooms much more seriously than others. Moses is definitely at the top, along with Leandro.
You are at the top.
No, I'm not.
You and Moses.
As well as you. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You've gotten a little tamer. Like the first few games I've done with you, you were really hardcore. Yeah. Now you've kind of tamed yourself.
It's so many of us. The last one, but that company, what's it called, Escape Games. Mm-hmm. There's so many different things happening that not once did I feel that it was too many of us in the room.
Yeah. But I think 8 is a good number. Mm-hmm. 6 is okay. I think 8, 7 or 8 people doing the puzzles. It's a nice number. The thing is, you don't want someone to feel left out, like they're not doing anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want everyone to feel like they're contributing. Otherwise, yeah. So when's the next time we're gonna go on our next conference? Are you guys all conferenced out?
Yeah. No, we're planning for the we want to do the podcast one in DC in August.
You're right. It's in August. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's
August,
far off.
I should be able to do August. That'd be cool. I don't think we've ever done a podcasting. We've done a business one. We've done a photography one. I think it's about time that we do a podcast one. I think that'll be nice. Maybe we can learn some tips and tricks how to be better podcasters.
Yeah.
How to grow our listenership from 60 to 600.
Exactly. Exactly.
We can't be depending on Leandro and Moses to keep playing our episodes on a loop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it's local, so our producer went a few times.
You know what? That's perfect. If you say it's in August, I have some shoots that I got to do in August, so it'll be perfect.
It's down in Maryland, DC.
DC,
So that's perfect. I have some shoots I got to do down there. I go down there every other year to do my families, because I started my career as a photographer shooting families down in DC. So I have a lot of friends down there. So what I might do is maybe make a 2-week vacation thing out of this. Yeah. So I can dig it. So how did we first come upon this guest? How did this guest come into our lives? What's so funny?
Why do you look so serious? We met him last year at Imaging.
Imaging. Did you know him? Did you notice him first? Did you even know who he was?
You noticed him first.
Why are you calling me out like that? Yes, I did notice him first. And I saw him across the room we locked eyes, and I was a little hesitant to approach him, because he's been on my radar for a number of years and stuff. So, but surprisingly, he was super approachable, and he had this really cool. I don't know. He did something funny with all the the little flags that you put on, not the flags, but the little banners that you put on your badge. He zhuzhed it up a little bit, and then ever since, he hasn't been able to shake me. He sees me coming around the corner, and then he just runs the opposite direction. He hasn't been able to shake me. And it's been about 3 or 4 conferences already. But yeah, we're very honored to call him a colleague and call him a friend as well. How about you guys? What has your interaction been with our guest?
We met him at Imaging this year.
Through you guys.
Through you.
I let him out of the room. Right, he was still handcuffed and blindfolded. So anyway, guys. So without further ado, let's introduce our listeners to our guest of today's episode, Mr. Taylor Jackson. Welcome to the podcast.
Yay!
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
So
Are
have
you
you know,
really, really excited?
Really excited. Super. This is my excited voice.
this is my excitement.
I hear it. I definitely hear that excitement.
This is him at an 11. But today is very special. For a number of reasons. Number one, because you're here, but also because we've been doing this podcast for about a year and change now. I want to say, would it be more than too much longer than that? This will be the first podcast episode that Karis will be leading. So you guys, you have the honor. You have the honor of being Karis's first, I guess, official guest.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah, so honor's all yours and ours.
I'm honored.
You're putting her right on the spot.
She's like, I didn't agree to this.
Yeah. When do we even discuss this? I have a few questions, which you brought up. So,
but sorry,
Ben, you're dying. He's dying.
I've had this cough since Halloween, pretty much. I don't think that I'm dying. I've seen doctors already for this. But if I were to die, Karis would be very wealthy. If I were to die, so it's a win-win situation for her. Anyway, I apologize. We might have to reset every now and then, but I apologize. Carry on.
No one is sleeping in this house. Oh my God, he's coughing like his lung out every night. I'm like, oh my gosh.
All right. Anyway, Taylor hasn't said a word yet. Taylor, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners? For those of you who are living under a rock and you guys have never heard of Taylor Jackson, Taylor, why don't you tell our listeners who you are, where you're from, your life story?
Starting from the very beginning.
In like 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. So it all began. I've been a photographer for a long time now, probably about 15 years professionally, I think. Started around, maybe more than that, maybe 20. Probably started around like 2006. Wow. I was also working at an Outback Steakhouse for a very long time. So spent 8 years of my life at an Outback Steakhouse, which was lovely. Wow. And was kind of simultaneously doing photography, but having that as a backup. And then the sink or swim moment when you kind of lose your job, Outback Steakhouse just literally closed in Canada. They closed all the Canadian locations.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I guess I do photography now. And that kind of pushed me into it full time. And I've been living in Canada and we travel pretty much all winter. We'll do kind of a number of trips, and I'm primarily a wedding photographer, but I also do kind of YouTube content and also content working with brands. So I kind of structure it in seasons. At my summer, I'm pretty much all local weddings. I did destination weddings and I was very focused on it for a long time. And I realized that I'm just happier if I can shoot within kind of a half-hour radius of my house. So now my business is kind of all refocused to that with maybe 1 or 2 destinations throughout the year, and everything else close to home. And it's pretty happy, I think. I've created and finally tweaked my way to a happy business. It's always a work in progress and always changing, but yeah, that's the abridged version, I guess.
and you shared this with me the first time I met with you, right? And I was just thinking to myself, all right, where does this guy find time to edit his YouTube videos? Well, he's got to film them too. He's got to create the content for it. He's got to do the post-production on it, because you do everything yourself, right? The editing, the culling, and also the post-production on your videos. You also wrote a book. You also have a course that you put together that's out there right now. We'll let you plug this stuff in just a little bit.
Yeah.
You're doing all this stuff. Where do you find the time to do it? You're doing everything yourself, right?
Yeah, I have an editor now. Tyler helps me out a lot, but yeah, pretty much the answer is we don't have kids. We have a bulldog. So that's where the time comes from.
That's the secret right there.
Team
Secret
dogs.
recipe.
Yeah.
Yes. But you do have a tiny baby, right?
Yes, we do have the tiny baby that we found, or won in a vending machine in Japan. And it's horrifying and weird. And yeah, we've been hiding it on each other, and it came home with me apparently in my jacket from Japan. So now I am the owner of the baby until I see somebody else.
Until you pass it off to the next person, right? The unwitting victim.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jenn Ro, have you seen this baby?
I saw it on your Instagram, Taylor, or is that the hands that I'm talking about?
No, the hands
That's something
are mine.
different. Okay. So I think I saw. Wait, was it a hand that you took out of the ZF battery compartment?
No,
That was the baby. Yeah.
Okay, so I have seen it. Yeah, I've
So
seen
now
it.
it's an ongoing thing. But it's so strange and weird. And then we found we were in Japan again a couple weeks ago, and we found a full family of those babies, like all different sizes. They were in someone's like the front of their car window, where people usually put like stuffed animals.
Yeah.
It was like a full suite of like 6 or 8 different sizes of baby. So I think they're a thing, and I need to figure out who. I don't know. They're collectible, I guess. To somebody. I have one. That's enough.
Now I know what to send you for as a gift. We'll have to hunt these things down. Well, I'll get you a jumbo size baby.
I don't
that's
want
a little
that.
squishy. you can just sleep with it in bed.
Yeah.
Your wife's gonna be like, "What the hell, man?"
That sounds horrifying. The texture of them, I think, is like it's like a weird thing to look at. You're like, oh, that's a bit weird, and then you touch it, and it's like this squishy, like it's kind of full of like a sand, and it's like a Stretch Armstrong. Also, there's a lot going on, and if you get one, you're probably immediately haunted.
So you worked as a server. Well, I assume that you worked as a server at Outback. Were you a server?
I did everything. I started when I was, I think, 14 as a busser, and then I made some Bloomin' Onions for a year or so, and then I did proper line, and then I eventually started serving, and I served for a few years, and then they tried to make me a manager, but you take kind of a massive pay cut if you're a manager at a restaurant. So yeah, you work more hours and you have more stress. And I was like, no, thanks. I'll just kind of chill and be a server. It was cool though, because you like kind of learn those entrepreneurial things that you have your section, and that's kind of your business for the night. And you do what you kind of make money within that. And yeah, end of the day, you leave with either $20 or maybe $0. Maybe you didn't even start. Maybe you just sat at the bar waiting for tables to come in. They didn't. So you come in $0 or like $300, and you learn to manage those massive swings of income. And at a young age, you kind of at least figure out kind of a baseline of like, okay, so I can't just spend everything I earn all the time. Mm-hmm. And it takes a while to figure that out when you're like 18 and just all of a sudden making like $1,000 a weekend or whatever.
That's pretty good.
It was interesting, I guess, to set me on the pathway to be a more proper business owner and not just a server, I guess.
Yeah. My question for you is the restaurant industry in Canada, the restaurant workers, is it like below minimum wage plus tips? What's the tipping culture like in Canada?
It's similar to the States. Maybe we're not quite caught up yet. But I would say it's pretty similar overall. That's one, I guess, like we have a lot of European influences overall. And I feel like that's one of the ones that just like did not carry over, and it's full American influence on us.
That's where the tip money comes in. That's awesome. Yep. Yeah. I always advocate for people to work in the service industry, like the restaurant industry, because, you get treated like crap, and you just have to put a smile on your face, and your job is to make sure that the customers are happy. Yeah. Jenn Ro, have you guys ever worked in food service?
Oh yeah,
I have. Yeah, I worked in a grill. I was a grill man for like 11 summers, and I also was a waiter and also kitchen staff at a catering hall. So I've seen the worst of the worst and the best of people.
Taylor, you ever spilled anything on anyone?
Indirectly, I think. I don't think directly. So like as in something falling and smashing, and then it just projecting onto someone. So not as bad as like a full glass of red wine on their lap or anything like that. But I've certainly seen some stuff.
I think Rolando spilled some soup on someone once, right?
Oh, no.
No, I spilled hot water on a waitress that hated me, and then there was a gentleman. Unintentionally, and then there was a gentleman who just finished his appetizer, and I grabbed his plate and napkin, and he put all the crumbs of like on inside the napkin. So when I pulled the napkin, all the crumbs fell over him. He was so pissed off.
His fault.
But you got fired from that job.
I
right?
did. I got fired that night, to be precise. Yeah.
Sorry if I'm bringing
Never
up
look back,
prior trauma, you know?
No, it's not trauma. It made me who I am today.
Yeah. Taylor, you mentioned the only reason why you went full time in photography is because Outback fired you. So why were you like? I mean, we all know why we kind of hold on to our jobs, but like, why weren't you were you working towards leaving full time, or you were just kind of like holding on to Outback?
I don't know. It's kind of a safety net, but I had scaled myself down. I think I worked Sundays only, and I was the last one to start. So if tables didn't come in, I got to go home. So I was pretty much there to see my friends and eat a half-price meal. So I was pretty much already out by that point. I probably did I'm going to say I was probably a year into being that employee that I was there if you need me, but otherwise happy to go home, which is probably pretty rare. People are probably pretty upset if they come into work and don't start. And I was just happy to come in, get a cheese fry and go on my way, be home before sunset.
Nice. It's so funny how like we always hold on a little bit to the security, just a little bit, because he did the same thing.
Yeah, because change is not comfortable. It makes everyone uncomfortable. So like I held on to my overnight job, and I was losing sleep. Yeah, it was making me cranky. I was falling asleep all over the place, and honestly, I didn't need to. It was just extra money that just helped, go out and eat and spend it on stupid stuff. Yeah. But I could have left. I should have left 3 years prior, probably.
I think it's just that inconsistency of income with wedding photographer. Like, sometimes we have slow season, low season, and, and until we shoot the wedding, we don't really get the full payment. So I think it's that insecurity of being a wedding photographer. But how did you start photography?
I started photography. I'd had cameras like all through my childhood. My dad was, he was usually the photographer, I guess, in the family. And probably around, I'm going to say when we got our first digital camera, so maybe like 2002, maybe 2001, I started kind of playing around with that. It was like an Olympus point and shoot. And then around maybe 2003, I upgraded that and started doing photos for my friends that were in bands. So I go to shows and take some band pictures or do some press photos for them. And that's kind of how I started. And I did a few years of that, and it was a lot of fun. You don't get paid very well, but you have access to pretty much, at least at the time, you could essentially invite yourself for free to any concert you wanted to go to and get to be front row, which is really cool. So I was kind of working for a magazine that was kind of basically a front to kind of do that, just like a bunch of friends together making something look official so we could go to concerts. And yeah, that's kind of that. And then that's how I learned all my lighting and was able to basically transfer all those skills into weddings. And weddings were just a lot easier than shooting a dingy nightclub and getting beer spilled on you. Now you're getting beer spilled on you in a very nice venue with gorgeous tablecloths.
Yeah.
And how does that get you on American Idol?
That was a random stock photo that like they found on an iStock photo. The agency that was working for like branding for American Idol. I came home one night at like 2 a.m. after a concert, and somebody had purchased that and put it in a project for like American Idol season 2, I think. So when it was everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the image they used is a random kind of like abstract crowd shot that's kind of blue lights. And it's from a concert in Canada, which I always thought was funny. Like the American Idol thing they're putting on billboards is a concert in Canada.
That's a Canadian audience, guys.
Yeah, that was totally random. That was the most random sale that I had received up to that point.
Yeah.
Do they pay commercial rate? How does that all work?
Yeah.
I don't know. If you do any micro stock, you know how bad of a deal it is for photographers. So I think
you made
it's like
$5 off of it?
I think I got 90. I think it was like a $90 sale. So not the worst. They probably could have gotten away with like the $5 rate. But they wanted to help me out, I guess. But yeah, I think it was like $90. It was like, whoa, I made $90, and I'm like, oh, it's for like Fox Media.
Outback, cool. Screw you.
Yeah. Outback, I'm out.
You ever seen Office Space where what is it, Jennifer Aniston's character? She has to wear all these pins. She's not wearing enough pins that like
we had to wear pins at Outback as well. I think it wasn't like as specific. It was like if you got a pin, you won a pin for like hitting a goal, or if you opened another restaurant and you're one of the trainers, you had to like wear that pin now ongoing. So we actually did have flair, which was kind of hilarious because that movie had come out like around then as well.
You're supposed to have 15 pieces of flair, but I only count 13. So you need to get 2 more pieces of flair on your suspenders. All right. So Karis Lau, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Taylor?
We got to ask him always our first question.
Yep, that we asked everyone.
Oh yeah. I think I know this question, but what did you charge for your first wedding?
I think it was 1,800.
Ooh.
And
wait, what's is that Canadian or
Canadian? So like 1,500. But I had shot. So
that's
the way
pretty good.
I think that I booked that one, but then I was doing a free wedding as my first wedding as like a solo person. Prior to that, I'd like worked as a second. And then I think it was like they ended up lining up week by week that I was doing like the one that I was doing for free, like the week before, but I had actually booked that one after my wedding. And it was all just like through music connections. They liked that I don't know, I did behind the scenes documentary stuff at shows. And they were like, can you just do that at our wedding? But yeah, so there was like a free one followed immediately by my first paid one, but my paid one booked first. And my free one was just for a friend of a friend.
Wow.
Very nice.
You can get 30 Moses cruises for that.
Yeah.
We have a friend of ours. His first wedding he booked it for $60. And he thought he had won the lottery. He's like, oh my God, you're gonna pay me $60? Yeah. Jackpot. So we actually have a little graphic, and I think our producer is going to put it up. For 30 Moses cruises, you can get yourself a Taylor Jackson circa 2008, 2009, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Is that your first wedding? 2008, 2009?
I think I'll have to look. I have everything backed up from at like my first wedding. I think it was 2005, 2006.
Oh, 2005.
Wow.
I used to eat before us.
A long time.
Yeah.
2000. Yeah.
That was like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah. I'll go find it right now.
Almost as old as the computer that I'm recording this thing on.
Yes, exactly.
That dinosaur.
So you want to talk about your hybrid photo video part of your journey?
So what are you doing right now?
So around, I'm going to say 2012, I started doing just like small video clips at weddings, and I was just kind of building like a 1-minute highlight. I think it was because it was maybe a challenge for me originally. It was like I felt that naively, I felt that I was like as good as I could get as a photographer at that time. Little do I know that I wasn't anywhere even remotely close, and still I'm not. But I thought I had like plateaued, and I was kind of losing interest in pursuing it. So I was like, all right, let's like add another layer of complexity. I started doing video, and my clients started liking the videos as much as the photos in a lot of the cases. It was pretty much like at the time blogging was huge. I was pretty much taking like the typical blog style photos, and I would just put that into a highlight film. So it would just be moving pictures essentially. I wasn't really moving the camera. I was just rolling video on what I would usually be putting in a blog post and building a 1 or maybe 1.5 minute highlight from that. And then I started selling that the next year. And then it just became kind of a part of my business. Probably by like 2015, I was doing pretty much most of my weddings, I think for a couple of years, were all hybrid photo video weddings. Now it's probably around like 80% ish, which is still pretty high, but a little bit less. And so it's just doing photo video at the same time. And it's fun to figure out and problem solve. And then once you start to get pretty good at it, your clients start to kind of lose their minds in happiness about how good the video is. And my couples are like pretty introverted, kind of like myself, I guess. You kind of attract your ideal couple that's probably similar to you. Yes. And they just don't want a lot of people at their wedding that they want video, but also they don't want a 6-person crew. So if it's just myself or myself in a second, they are pretty stoked that we can offer both services. And we're obviously not doing what like a 6-person team with like a same day editor and producer on site and like multiple camera people could do, but it's somewhere kind of in the middle when clients probably wouldn't be hiring a video team at all to begin with.
Yeah. So most of your weddings don't have a video crew. It's just you.
And a lot of them, so I don't really lock people into like a specific contract. So a lot of people will book in for photography, and I'll kind of tell them that like at the first meeting, I'll be like, yeah, you can book in for this package. And if you want to upgrade, just let me know like 4 months before the wedding and we can do video. So I think a lot kind of get in on that lower rate, and then they think about it and they probably hear enough people tell them like, one regret is that we didn't have video at our wedding. And then when it comes to the final payment, usually the upgrade, I'd say most of the time, to put me in that 80% window. And I'd say the 20% of weddings that I do that aren't hybrid are usually shorter days or just smaller groups. So maybe like a 20-person smaller dinner, and I'm there for like 4 hours. I probably won't do video there because there's just not enough going on to actually make like a 3-minute highlight if it's a 10-minute ceremony and everyone sits down for dinner. Yeah, so that's kind of my spread.
Are you shooting it on the same camera, or is it a separate camera?
I personally do it. So there's, I don't think there's official rules to how to do it. I know some people that do like a second camera that's their dedicated video camera. I do everything just on one camera. I like to just know where all my settings are at because some things happen that are pretty fast paced and you got to be switching back and forth. And if I know exactly where I'm at in video settings, it just makes my life a little bit easier. So yeah, I just use one camera, and typically I would say one lens for most of the day. It's like it's usually a 35 until I get to the ceremony, and then I'll change. I have the Tamron 35 to 150 that I love. I'll use that for all the ceremony, maybe a little bit of the getting ready, or a little bit of the family photos, and maybe some with the couple. And then I'll typically switch to an 85 for the rest of the day once we're in the ceremony. And yeah, I don't know. I like to keep it simple, I guess. And also my bag is like, I don't want it to be too heavy because then it becomes uncomfortable.
Are you are you also recording like the audio for the toast and like recording that as well?
That's bonus package option that I don't love doing.
Yeah.
I will do for a long time I would run a package that was 2 video people and 2 photographers. And when I went to those days, I was very much like a manager. I was like, hello, I'm here as your photographer, but I also don't actually have to do anything. All I'm doing is making sure everyone else is doing the things that they should be doing. And then I would like step in for family photos. And that is like not the job that I enjoy doing. So I kind of dialed that back, and then I made that package a bit more expensive, and it books maybe twice a year now, where we'll do full ceremony, like multiple cameras on a ceremony, and then speeches as well, and a bit of a longer highlight. But my happy place is like 3-minute music video style highlight with no audio. Yeah. And photography as I would usually do it.
Yeah.
And it's just like the storytelling portion, the eye candy as well.
Yeah.
Which makes it a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, right. It's fun. It's a fun challenge, and it seems very valuable to people. So it's kind of win-win for that.
How did you juggle doing both at the same time?
I think it was just like a long learning process that I figured out. It's also about figuring out what footage you actually use in the edit, because you will spend 2 years overshooting every single wedding day for video. So I think dialing that back has helped out a lot. But yeah, in the beginning, I didn't really know. I just like captured as much kind of candid documentary video stuff as I could, and then went back and made an edit from whatever I had. It was also that I didn't want it to sacrifice my photography coverage in any way, that I wanted to do exactly the job that I was there to do. And then also just kind of do a bonus video on top, as that's now something that I'm being hired maybe even more specifically for. I put a little more effort into making sure that the key moments are captured. So if I have a second, I'll have them roll video on the first kiss rather than myself trying to like stack a second camera underneath to like do both at the same time. Yeah, that's kind of been the progression. And then I think it was 2 years ago, I started noticing that a lot of my couples were hiring me for video first, but then they also wanted family photos. So I have a secret package for that. When couples like literally want 25 photos or like 50 photos from their day, they want like 1 or 2 of them smiling, facing a camera, probably maybe a couple of more artistic ones, family photos, and maybe like 5 photos during the ceremony. And then the rest, they just want video. So that's a surprising weird package.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun just to shoot video all day. We're gonna get so much hate mail from video people, right? But it sounds like so much fun.
The industries are like, I think they're merging a little bit. And I know some video people that offer that similar package that like, yeah, I'll do your family photos. Like, that's fine. I'm set up for it. It'll be an interesting, maybe like 10 years or so.
But what if you show up as the video person and there's already a photographer already present? Because I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but like at least here, usually photos the second or third to be hired, and a video is usually towards the end.
Yeah. They can also, I guess that's the other benefit of hybrid is that I'll know for sure like going in the day. But I have just been hired for video only, or my wife Lindsay's an incredible photographer as well. So it's like very often I would say that I'm out doing a video for one of her couples that they'll be like, "Hey, is your husband available to be your second photographer?" And she's like, "No, we have very separate businesses, but if you want him, we have a package this year where I'll just like come to her weddings as an add-on and shoot film for photography. So that's a package option now. And then last year it was just like, well, he can come to a highlight video if you like don't have anyone hired yet, and that would just be kind of a bonus add-on.
You mentioned a film coverage add-on. That's something that we started offering this year. I would love to hear about your approach as far as that aspect of your business now. Like, how many roles are you shooting, and and so forth.
I would say as an add-on, I'm probably getting so adding on to Lindsay's booking. So this is like an entirely different company booking, knowing that I also do photography and video. I'd say it's maybe like 2 a year. I think I did 2 last year with her. So it's not like a huge thing. I also don't really promote it. It's like text and email. It's not like I have no sales video for it. So yeah, it's not like a hard sell necessarily, but it's just kind of a nice to have. And if the couple knows us and has been following us on social media, sometimes they just want us both there, or it's that last minute video add-on that they're like, "Oh yeah, we couldn't afford like 6K or whatever for like a proper video team, but we'd like to have something." That's usually kind of how that ends up converting.
And you get to hang out with your wife.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yay!
Not too bad.
Yeah. We work well together too. So that's nice. I know some couples that it's like a bit of a struggle to get through the day. And it creates some incredible work, but there's some tension. I feel like we just stay out of each other's way, and that's nice.
I think that's the best way. Stay out of each other's way.
Yeah. With video, it's easy.
For 12 years, about 12-ish years, my wife and I, we work together side by side. And the funny thing is, when we show up to prep, we don't like on the car ride. I'll do most of the talking. But once we get to the prep, we don't talk for the whole day until we get back into the car at the end of the night. She does her thing, I do my thing. It's not that we're angry at each other or anything like that. You know, we're just there to work, and then because the thing is, we're living together, we're working together. You know, so like everything's just kind of on autopilot.
Yeah, then, pretty much. And there's really nothing to talk about because you do your thing, I do my thing.
Just focus.
It's usually you like bugging me. "Oh, can you do that? Can you grab me this? Can you hold this?" I'm like, no.
She's no help.
You hold your lights.
You hold your damn lights. So so since the pandemic, Karis has since gone off on her own. She started her own brand. She's totally out there kicking ass. We're so proud of her. And some clients, they're aware that she exists, and they're like, "Oh, can just like you, Taylor, like, oh, can your wife come along to shoot also? Can we have the both of you?" I was like, actually, it's more work for me if she comes along, because that means I got to carry her bags too. I got to set up her lights too. You can actually give more work to me. Like, if I have another second, I can actually boss them around, have them get me a ginger ale or something like that. If I ask my wife to get me a ginger ale, she's gonna like give me the middle finger from across the room, So
get it yourself.
Who do you think I am?
She's Karis effing Lau. That's what she is, right? That's what she is. So that's the kind of work chemistry that we have, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
that's interesting. Like, I think that everyone looks at Lindsay and myself as like why don't you guys have a business together? That's crazy. And then we're like, well, I had a business, she has a business. Now we just essentially make double the income. And that's nice, because I know very few couples that have separate businesses. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we didn't. A lot of people have asked us why we haven't split off.
We talked about it, but I think we were just lazy.
We made enough. Here's the honest truth: we made enough money, there was no urgency for us to split.
We're comfortable, and we're just lazy. Well, like you were lazy.
Who, me?
Yes, you needed to put the website together.
Yeah, that means I had to put up a website for her. But luckily during the pandemic, I had nothing to do, so I was able to put the website together pretty quickly. So it is what it is. All right. Anyway, next question. What do you have for Taylor?
So did you and Lindsay meet before this whole wedding photography, or did you guys meet after you guys all had each of your brand?
I was already doing weddings, and then she was working full time at a different company that was not photography related. And I was shooting pretty much triple weddings every single weekend. So it's kind of like, if you want to hang out, here's a camera. Come hang out.
Naturally.
So I would just like,
This is my girlfriend.
yeah. And she would like, honestly, like we've done this with a number of our friends that have become seconds, that it's like, come out to 2 weddings. Here's a 50.
Yeah.
Go have fun. And by like wedding number 3, like they're pretty good. I still might not trust them to do like prep coverage on their own, but pretty well on their way after like 3 full wedding days, like 12 hours of the camera in your hand. You learn a lot. And I think the other thing that that I've kind of like that it worked really well was that I just kind of want someone that fits the vibe of the day. That's equally as important to me as photography skill. And Lindsay came in and like fit the vibe of any day very, very well. And the photography skills took like maybe a minute to catch up, but it just kind of worked really well. So yeah, she just kind of trained like that. I guess had like a bit of a head start because got to shoot some pretty nice weddings in like year 1.
Right.
But yeah, it was I don't know, it was never, I don't even think we ever talked about like doing the same business. It always just made sense that we just kind of both did our own thing. And now it makes so much more sense because her style's a lot different than mine and she doesn't do video. So marketing it would be like very not elegant, whereas she can do that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Karis's ideal client is very different from mine, from ours. You know, so like her clients are like super cool. I'm like, listen, my clients are cool too, but her clients, you know, on a scale of how many Jack Blacks there are, right? Like I would be like 3 Jack Blacks, and then Karis's would be like 10 Jack Blacks. You know, just like super wacky and wild. You know. That's the only way that I can describe it. You know, my clients are not for everyone. You know, sometimes they need more guidance. Sometimes they need a little bit more hand holding, which I'm more than happy to provide.
They have more requirements. Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. But there's nothing wrong. Like I don't mind doing that. You know, I don't mind doing it. Yeah. You know, it's funny, Taylor. Like the only thing. I know about you casually, and I've seen some of your YouTube videos and things like that, but I've never actually done a deep dive on you. I don't know like your full biography or anything like that. So I took the liberty of Googling you. Have you ever Googled yourself?
Yeah, but I feel like my Google results are skewed because I am, I don't know, logged into my Google account. I don't think I've done it from incognito.
All right. So I've taken the liberty of Googling you, right? So this is just for fun, right? And then we'll get back to seriousness, okay? So is your birthday July 14th?
Yeah, it is.
Are you a Cancer?
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah. And it says here, marital status, single as of 2024. Uh-oh. Does your wife know about this?
I guess not, no.
Don't tell her.
And it says children, no. Sexuality, not confirmed, unconfirmed.
Where are these results coming from?
You can Google it. Let me see here. Yeah, it's on like, you know, when you look up celebrities and things like that, it's like on a celebrity website or whatever, you know, and it has all his biography. But at least it's got his birthday, right?
That's great.
So like part of me feels like you wrote this yourself, Taylor. Like you put this out there, right? But I'm not sure because it sounds like it's in your voice, right? But I don't know. Maybe somebody else put it up there. I don't know. Something about Cabbage Patch Kids, Rubik's Cubes, Yuppies, and Air Jordans. So I don't know if that has anything to do with you.
I've owned 1 pair of Jordans, I think. That's it.
And also, you have the wedding photography book that also came up after 1,000 weddings. At what point did you hit 1,000? Do you remember that year?
No, I didn't have like an active count going, and then I think I'm like maybe 2 years past that in working.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was also like I counted the best I could, and then once I got to 1,000, I was like, that's probably fine. Like that's a good enough title. Just to verify.
You kind of lose track at that point.
Yeah. So I was just telling Taylor, you know, you can get this on Amazon for $19.99, but I got an autographed copy from Mr. Taylor Jackson himself. So the book is worth at least $21 Canadian.
Or less, because now it's been defaced.
It's been defaced.
Tell us about the book, because I've heard about it and I've seen it. I was like, I need to read that. So give me an idea of like what the book's about and what drove you to write it.
Yeah, it's pretty much a marketing book, like a marketing manual for like everything that I did that worked. The audiobook's also on my YouTube channel in entirety as well. So you can just listen to it. I'll read it to you.
Aww.
Yeah.
I'll definitely go that route.
Yeah. A little nighttime story. It was just like everything that I kind of learned, that if I was like 18 trying to get into the industry, that if I could read that or listen to that I would have a pretty good primer on what to expect and some things to do to either stand out or at least align with creating a business that I would actually be happy about moving forward. Because there were some things that I did that definitely pulled my business in a direction that I don't know, there was money there, but it wasn't really happy money. So I followed that for a long time and just kind of, spread my services into too many weird genres of photography. And had I just focused a little bit more on weddings, you can still do other stuff as well. But if it would have been more of my focus, it would have gotten me to a better place a heck of a lot faster.
Do you think that's like the biggest piece of advice from your book?
I think it's also that like, just like always be creating your, like the portfolio that you want to get booked for. And if it's not organically coming to you, go out and start creating it. I think that's maybe the biggest piece of ongoing advice that I still do today, that we set up style shoots in places that we want to do shoots that maybe we haven't booked a wedding yet. And then organically those bookings will come in now that you have proof of what you've done and that people can visualize themselves in your work.
Yeah, that's one of the lessons that I learned early in my career. Show what you want to shoot. I think that the trap that many people fall into is that they're showing what they think the clients want to see. And the thing is, if you do that, you're just going to blend in with the noise. And in that scenario, a lot of times, the cheapest will always win. It's going to be very hard for you to compete in that space. So yeah, shoot the way that you want to shoot. That's a lesson that I heard about and I learned about it, but I didn't really execute it till much, much later in my career. Better late than never, right? I'm grateful that I eventually, followed that advice to show what you want to shoot.
And you're much happier as an artist doing that, shooting what you want to shoot, and showing what you want to show. You know what I mean? Instead of being slave to your clients. Yes, I'm going to shoot those, family formals, and you're looking at the cameras and stuff. Those traditional photos, but I choose not to show them.
It's so funny. Karis had an inquiry. There was a dad that was talking to Karis, and he was like, I really like your portfolio, but just out of curiosity, do you think that we can get some family pictures? Is it possible?
He's like, I don't see them anywhere on your like social like website. I was like, I do. So I sent him the full gallery.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
You guys talk to a lot of parents, which is so odd to me. Do you talk to parents, Taylor, like of couples?
I would say medium. I don't avoid them, but I don't have like in-depth conversations, I don't think.
Do you deal with them during the booking process? I guess is what
that's what I mean. Like earlier. That's what I meant. Like earlier in the booking process.
Maybe like twice a year. It's usually for like the extreme high-end weddings. So like my most expensive weddings of the year, usually the mom's involved in planning. And sometimes like I won't even talk to the couple and like everything will be booked, which is like a bit strange workflow wise, but rarely.
My last three bookings were with the parents. Yeah. So
Ben's got a whole lot of those. Yep.
That's so strange.
Yeah. It's the clientele that I attract. Again, it's clientele that I attract. There's a lot of hand-holding involved,
It never fails. Every time we talk to a parent or a parent wants to talk to us, I already know what's coming. They want to negotiate something, and it's always, it doesn't happen to us like maybe like once a year or if that.
If that has been a long time.
I know. Yeah. It's just so odd for us.
The last three that I had, they didn't try to negotiate anything actually. They were basically gatekeeping the couple. So like I wasn't able to connect with them. So like for all I knew, the couples weren't my vibe. But luckily, so far so good. Because after I closed everything with the client, with the parents, I got a chance to meet with the clients, and everything was okay. But I've been lucky so far. I usually get one Momzilla a year, but given the volume that we do, it's not too bad. considering the volume that we do. So one Momzilla a year. That's kind of our budget for Momzillas.
You had a queen Momzilla last year.
The boss of all bosses.
Oh my God. So
Taylor, let me tell you how mean she was, right? She was like, she said this in an email, the first email after I sent the gallery. She's like, you wouldn't know what it means to be a photographer if it were stapled to your head, right? And that was not the worst of what she said, right? Apparently there was more.
It got worse and worse. Oh my gosh, she was the meanest person ever.
So
evil.
And I don't think I did anything. To give you a little backstory, the mother, the sister-in-law, wasn't even the sister of the bride. It's the sister-in-law wasn't there for family photos. So what do you want me to do? I can't magically just Photoshop her in, and if the sister-in-law is wandering around drunk all day at the reception, I'm not going to chase her down for a family photo. You know what I mean? So mom was very upset about that. And so she wrote several scathing emails to me. And I told our VA, I was like, listen, if the email, unless it's an apology, I don't want to read it. So screenshot it and then trash it. I don't ever want to see it. I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive about my work.
Yeah. Have you had any wedding horror stories, Taylor?
I don't think so. I've had like some unique moments, but I don't think I've had anything that's been like really bad, or maybe I've just completely blocked it out of my memory. Is maybe also possible.
That's a pretty good track record. Over 1,000.
Yeah.
And nothing, no crazy stories. Nothing like drunk hijinks, nudity. Inappropriate behavior.
I don't think so. I had a maid of honor go into labor during hair and makeup, and then went to the hospital. She was a nurse at downtown Toronto hospital, and I guess I don't know how pregnancy works, but I guess she was just like fine to come back for the ceremony.
So
she came back.
She gave birth and came back.
No, she had not yet given birth. Her water had broke, and I guess her contractions were just fine. So they just were like, well, you're a nurse. You know when it's time to come back. Like, go do the ceremony. So she did the ceremony.
Enjoy the wedding and come back.
Yeah. We did the family photos with her. And then she went probably around 2:30, I would say she left.
Oh my gosh.
Before, at the end of the reception around 8 o'clock, she had given birth and called to do her speech on her dad's BlackBerry. It was BlackBerry era at the time, on speakerphone at the microphone. So yeah, that was a pretty crazy romantic comedy style moment. And then I think they wrapped the wedding an hour early, and everyone all the family went to the hospital. Yeah, so
that was pretty great story, Taylor.
Yeah.
That's
not a negative story. So
no, it's intense dedication to being a maid of honor.
That was a day. And then it was also the other thing was that her sister, who was the bride, so the bride had lived in Switzerland or was living in Switzerland, so she was only in Toronto for 6 days. So it was a 6-day window. It's I would love to meet my niece or nephew, and sure enough, it happened. So
yeah. Oh my god!
Surprise!
Have you guys ever heard of the podcast Secret Life of Weddings?
Sounds familiar.
I think they're Canadians too. It's two Canadian co-hosts, and they shoot weddings and stuff, and they share these wedding horror stories. They're no longer recording live. I guess they might have a Patreon or something like that, but yeah, they have all these stories and stuff. So I know there are crazy weddings happening in Canada, but Taylor's not getting most of them.
Yeah.
No, I guess not. Yeah, I honestly can't think of any absolute disasters of days. So that's probably a positive thing, I think.
Yeah, that's great.
Maybe it's a New Jersey thing that our weddings are a hot mess express.
Well, I mean, even us, we've done over maybe 350 weddings by now, and we don't have too much juicy stories.
No,
compared to other people. Yeah,
we have more than we can count.
Yeah, we have a handful. Right?
Yeah, we have more than we can count. What else?
So Taylor, how did you fall into the world of YouTube?
Yes.
I started my account in 2008. So I was just a person of YouTube for a long time. And then I started making videos, just comedy stuff, probably in 2008. And then around 2015, I think I posted a behind the scenes wedding day, and it really took off. So I was oh, there's wedding photographers here now. Prior to that, I'd tried some wedding photography content and just like no one was on YouTube. Yeah, it worked out like that. And then it became mostly like an excuse for me to build a platform so I could contact brands to get free travel. That's pretty much what it was for like probably 5 years. And it worked really well. We got to go on a very nice safari. We do good work for them too. It's not like a scam.
Right.
But we
just in case the legal department starts looking for it.
Is that manual in your book as well to show us how to do that as well?
I do have a course on it. It's a little,
awesome.
It came out like 2018 though. So it's a little not completely current, but the strategies roughly are still the same. But yeah, I would pretty much just like if we were going to like Miami or something, or we had a trip booked or we wanted to have a trip booked, I would just reach out to hotels and experiences and see basically what I could trade them for photo and video services in exchange for whatever we wanted. And typically there was always like, if they got back to your first email, there was probably an opening to be able to do something together. And that I would consider that was like my full-time job, probably like 2017, 2018, 2019, pretty much into like 2020, actually. We did a show with Nikon that we filmed in like January of 2020. And that was kind of the last big project we did kind of in that style. It's fun. Yeah, but it's cool. That
when you're first starting out, you were just bartering services, right? Mm-hmm. How does that transition into like, I guess, paid gigs? You're like, I think you should pay me for this work.
Yeah. So when I was approaching hotels or services, there'd always be like, here's what I'll do in exchange for like the 3-night stay. But then there'd always be another line item. It's like, but if you want a 1-minute highlight where we'll like sit down and interview like your marketing director or whatever, or one of your chefs and like talk a little bit more. That was always like a paid add-on. And once they kind of trust you to come in for like the contra, like the free deal, they would usually be like, well, you're already capturing the footage and we do need this. Now I would just be like offering like 20 reels. Like I'll come in, here's like, and I would specify like exactly what reels I would create. That would be my plan probably now. But back then it was just like little highlight films for their website or some photography for Instagram. And there's no real, I don't know, checklist. Like everybody wants something different. And it's just kind of figuring out what works for each of those companies. And some people would graduate to paid, some wouldn't. And then at some point, you kind of get a platform that it's beneficial for them to actually be on your YouTube channel or for you to be sharing their content on social media. And at that point, it's paid. Or if they approach you, they see the value in you. At that point, it also usually comes in as a paid opportunity.
I can see how this could still continue to work, even in the wedding industry, where you could approach wedding venues and planners and other professionals and offer something similar.
Yep. Yeah. Services. What is your main gear that you use? I know you're with Fuji too, right?
I use everything. Anything that can. Maybe not even. So anything that's fast enough to do a wedding, I'll use because I do reviews for most of the units. And that's also that I like to travel and do things with brands. So I'm just kind of open to whenever there's like a release to come out and make a video about it. And then I try to kind of position it for wedding photographers specifically most of the time, if it's a wedding photography relevant camera or lens. Yeah, so I kind of use everything. I would say this year I will be using a Sony/Nikon kit. So the bummer with Nikon, so I would probably be on ZFs as like main cameras this year, maybe a Z8. But video only shoots to one card slot on Nikon for some reason. And there's no way to shoot your video to your backup card that is also in your camera, which kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
I like to do hybrid video. I don't feel super comfortable having all of the footage from the entire day on an SD card or 2 SD cards. And so I'll still be using Sony for the for my hybrid wedding days. And I'm like probably an A7 IV. I have an A9 III now that I just got in Vegas at WPPI. And I'll probably use that, but it's definitely like crazy, too much money and does way too many things for weddings. But on the hybrid side, it allows me to do 4K 60 with no crop. So it solves like a very small problem that I have with the Sony A7 IV where I'm still recording in HD because 4K 60 gets like an APS-C crop, which is very jarring when you're like taking photos on your 35mm and then all of a sudden you hit record and it's just like you're at 50 and you're like in their face.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been shooting HD for a long time and upscaling, and now I can finally properly shoot 4K 60, which I think is now I would say more almost a requirement. That's my current kit, I guess, for this year, but it's always open to changes and surprises, I guess, when new things are released.
She mentioned something about the GoPro tequila bottle thing.
Yeah, yeah. Is it on like a gorilla tripod?
It was. So I think that we invented it in Mexico, where it was just like when GoPros. I guess they still do come with those little adhesive, sticky things.
Yeah.
So we just put one on a GoPro or on a tequila bottle and passed it around. And we thought it was fun, and then it like caught on and became a thing for like a bunch of years. But yeah, I think we did the first one. And unless feel free to debate if somebody else did one before. I'm gonna say that was like 2011, maybe 2012. But yeah, it was fun. I made everybody have to drink from a bottle. It was like in the winter, so I think sunset in Mexico was like 5 p.m. So I made everybody have to get into that bottle before like 3:30 because GoPros were not good after dark.
Yeah,
so it was like,
Yeah,
you want to do it? Here you go, and it worked out really well.
Everybody's drunk by 3.
Yeah. That was one of the first weddings that I would have done, like a proper full length hybrid coverage, photo, video, and also just completely by myself. So that was, the GoPro got to be in there.
Yeah.
Not very COVID friendly, but we'll let it slide.
No. We had no idea. 2011, 2012.
It was forever ago.
It was bliss. It was
way
bliss.
before COVID. Yeah. But looks like you are inventor, like first to be doing a lot of things. And then you're a musician, I think.
Yeah, I have some songs. My pizza song is I think it's like well over like 2 or 3 billion views on TikTok now. It's been
There's a
used
pizza
in
song?
I have a pizza song.
Yeah,
you can look it up on Spotify.
Yeah.
The music video, we tried to do a shot-for-shot remake of Lana Del Rey High by the Beach. So that music video we tried to emulate exactly in the intro, which I don't think anyone ever got, but it's fine because it's funny to us.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear it when I play it? All right, so it's just me hearing it. I'm just the only one enjoying it. You guys carry on while... Here comes the pizza song. Oh, look at that. There's some drone footage of a beach house, it looks like.
Yeah. You're gonna have
it
to
looks like
up.
There's a quote from The Rock. It looks like Taylor's on the deck right now. He's got some sexy sunglasses on. I'm describing this for the readers right now. And he's got a pizza. He's holding a pizza box. Yeah, he's doing a sexy stare at the drone right now. I'm describing what's going on. He's wearing a nice blue Hawaiian shirt. Oh, there's the drone.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch it once we get off.
All right, I've seen enough. That's awesome.
We did like 5 or 6 videos of
about
that
pizza?
scale. Not about pizza, about other things. There's one where I'm a business coach, so I'm dressed up like a tennis coach, and I'm trying to pretend that I'm not a tennis coach, that I'm a business coach, and all the things that come with being a fake business coach.
That would be good.
Yeah, we did one about gear lust as well. Yeah, there's a few up there.
Yeah.
Gear lust. I think that Rolando Molina, he suffers from that affliction.
Yeah. You don't need to watch that. You don't need to watch that.
Really?
Watch that. You don't need anything else.
I don't spend a lot. You guys spend more than me.
No, we don't.
You
do.
protest too much. You protest too much.
If you want to share with us about your, I know you have Canada Photo Summit coming up, right?
Yeah.
If you want to,
tell us about your Canada Summit.
Canada Photo Summit is April 22nd to 24th this year. And
oh my gosh, yeah.
It's
this is your 6th year? This is your 6th year?
No, this is year 2.
Year 2.
We started last year in the fall, and then this is kind of our first one in the springtime, which is nice because days are longer and we can actually put together shoots and it's not cold.
Oh my gosh.
So it'll be a good mix. There's a lot of good speakers coming up, which is cool. And
I'd love to hear about your conference then. Your first one, how many days was it?
It was kind of 2.5. So we do like a welcome thing on the first day, and then it's kind of 2 full days and a wrap party. And it worked out really well. I was surprised how far people came. I figured it was going to be like all local, and it turned out that it was very, very few local people that came and more people driving in from kind of the northern states. There was probably as many people from like New York State as there were from Ontario, which is pretty crazy.
You're right across the border, Mm-hmm. So, how many people came to the first one?
I think we had about 100, and then this year we'll have probably another 40 or so. I think we're like pretty much maxed at the theater at this point.
Yeah.
About 140, 150.
Yeah, so it's good. It's a good group, and it was it was kind of cool to start this community kind of from nothing. And then by the end of it, everyone's like really good friends and they had not met prior to this. So it was pretty cool. So yeah, again,
that's the best part of these type of conferences and summits. And how many speakers were in your lineup for the first one?
I think we had 8. And then I think we have 8 again. I booked 2. So it's basically I'm just like inviting all my friends. We didn't know each other that well when I was booking this. It was pretty much just me like text messaging people, being like, "Hey, will you come out and talk at my thing?" And kind of selfishly just inviting. We do it like at a theater that I can see from where I'm sitting right now. So it's just like the easiest event execution for me. And my friends all get to come and visit, which is kind of cool. Meet our dog, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The next Focus Day of Summit's going to be at the Queen City Roasters in Plainfield, New Jersey. It's like 2 blocks from my house. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to squeeze 100 people in there. Well, that's awesome. That the first one was a success, and it sounds like the second one is a success too. That's awesome. Taylor, tell our listeners, if they don't know where to find you already, let's tell the folks at home how they can find you, where they can learn more about your summit, where they can find your YouTube stuff. I mean, where can people find you? How can people find you?
Yeah, I am at Taylor Jackson on Instagram, and then if you just search for Taylor Jackson on YouTube, I should come up. And those are probably the 2 spots. Everything else kind of goes from there.
Awesome.
Well, we can't thank you enough for hanging out with us all afternoon.
Thank you.
And
thanks for having me. This is fun.
There's one last thing. So far, you've had the best audio from all the guests that we've had.
That's good. I'm happy to hear that. Sure, we'll be happy. They sent me this microphone, so they'll be extra happy.
There you go.
To hear
Shout out to them.
Yeah, you have by far the best audio and also the best internet connection too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the gearheads that we've interviewed, in the past year, you would expect them to have good audio, but it wasn't always the case. So
or video. I was like, wait.
Yep.
This is your thing. Why is this like this right now?
We'll leave it up to you to decide who we're talking about. Okay, so
take some guesses.
But thank you so much for joining us. Good luck on your summit, and we look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, before the next conference, next summit. Hopefully, we'll run into you.
I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
We'll chat.
Yeah, sounds
all right,
good.
Well,
all right, I might wander off, but thanks for having me, and see you again whenever I see you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Adios.
Guys.
Adios.
Thanks very much.
Take care.
Focus AF is a fun, business-focused podcast for wedding creatives.
Co-hosted by award-winning husband and wife wedding photography teams, Ben and Karis.
And Jenn Ro, where we help fellow wedding creatives with their sales and marketing.
With laid-back conversations and real talk with some of our most favorite people in the universe.
And with that being said, are you Focused AF?
I am Focused AF today.
We are Focused AF.
I think I might be Focused AF.
Welcome to the Focused AF podcast.